I'm Mark Stevenson, and I was art director on Kameo Elements of Power. The first person to influence the look of Kameo was an animator called Richard Bauscher. He had worked on previous Rare titles and was trained in classical hand-drawn animation. An obvious visual starting point for Kameo's character is that she was a fairy and a princess, although later to be called an elf. She needed to look graceful, feminine, and in touch with nature, but also be a strong female lead. First and foremost, ideas for how our characters look comes from what they do in the game and those practical considerations. Kameo always had a magical hit bag from the outset because she needed somewhere to store things. She also had the jeweled headband because we needed to contain the element of power. In contrast, Callus is pretty much a classic archetypal villain design. From the outset, she had the black dress, the dark hair, the pale skin, designed to be the opposite of Kameo's goodness. Kameo's original costume was inspired by ancient Greek clothing but was changed with the console version. She needed to look more mature, and the new look was inspired by Native American patterns and culture. In the GameCube days of Kameo, we had plans for a larger number of monsters across more elements. Some we used to travel across the levels, others being purely for combat, able to use elemental moves like freezing things or breathing fire. However, as the project progressed, we scaled the number down. Each environment had to work to our elemental mechanics. They also had to fit the narrative points. We drew the Fairy Kingdom as a floating island, and this was really to portray it as a heavenly utopia in the sky where these unearthly magical creatures lived. The battlefield that we introduced for the Xbox 360 version was probably the most challenging level to create. It was a massive environment, bigger than any we'd built before, and linking all the different diverse parts of the world together. And if that wasn't challenging enough, we also populated it with thousands of trolls and a load of epic battles. Again, abilities define how trolls look. Regular trolls look strong, muscular, and powerful, whereas the archer trolls are much easier to defeat and look less imposing and less protected in their light armor. The bomb trolls are little irritating guys that are obviously weedy, so use bombs to keep you at bay. We did have elemental trolls too, designed to be funny hybrids. They tried to capture the use of magic by splicing elemental monsters with trolls and created these mutated but funny freaks. The troll tech, being a fantasy world, had a kind of steampunk powered aspect applied to it. There was always a strong intent to create a clear division. Kameo and the monsters represented nature, magic, and the mystical, whereas the trolls were about brute force and technology. Thorn was about reinforcing that visceral, animalistic aspect of strength being power. So he was naturally very big compared to the regular trolls. We had a couple of early designs where he was more demon-like, but these felt too far removed, so he came back to looking closer to the other trolls. The project was a labour of love. 6 years, 3 consoles, but still we finished and released it. Kameo got a lot of fans, and I would really love to make another one. It allowed us to let our imaginations go wild.